painstakingly listed the charges and countercharges she's heard.
But as though as them, an exemplary public servant, judge, teacher, coach, husband, and father.
Collins' support appears to give Kavanaugh the votes needed for confirmation.
Capitol Hill correspondent Wally Hines reporting. A jury has convicted a Chicago police officer of second-degree murder.
Vote to confirm Judge Kavanaugh.
In what Majority Leader Mitch McConnell called one of the best he's ever heard, Maine Senator Susan Collins drew the applause of fellow Republicans after her dramatic speech.
When passions are most inflamed, that fairness is most in jeopardy.
Barring last-minute drama, her vote essentially makes Brett Kavanaugh the 114th justice in Saturday's final vote. Fellow swing vote Senator Joe Manchin quickly followed Collins' lead, announcing his support, becoming Kavanaugh's sole Democratic vote, and protesters drowned him out when asked about his decision. No longer on the fence, Arizona Republican Jeff Flake saying he sees nothing to prevent a yes vote.
But anyway, I'm glad we had a better process.
The yeas are 51, the noes are 49. The motion is agreed to.
Kavanaugh's Supreme Court nomination passed a critical procedural hurdle late morning. Swing Senators Collins, Flake, and Democrat Joe Manchin all voted yes. Republican Lisa Murkowski joined with Democrats to vote no. With the motions running high, the Senate Majority Leader said lawmakers would not be intimidated by mob rule.
The uncorroborated mud and the partisan noise and the physical intimidation of members here in the Senate will not have the final say around here. The Senate will have the final say.
But his rhetorical sparring partner on the Democratic side says the GOP had a failed nominee.
Let them look back on this chapter as the shameful culmination of the scorched earth politics practiced by the hard right in America.
Some of the undecided senators reviewed the FBI's supplemental report on the Kavanaugh allegations, which did not provide corroborating evidence. And as part of his closing argument, the Judiciary Chairman emphasized Kavanaugh should be confirmed.
The Democratic strategy used against Judge Kavanaugh has made one thing clear. They will never be satisfied.
The top Democrat on Judiciary gave Kavanaugh a failing grade for his emotional performance in last week's high-stakes hearing.
Judges are expected to be, quote, even-handed, unbiased, impartial, and courteous, end quote. However, at the hearing last week, we saw a man filled with anger and aggression.
It has been a bruising process from the very beginning. Supporters of this nomination are giving Judge Kavanaugh, McConnell, and Chairman Grassley all very high marks for working relentlessly to win over the final votes.
Mike Emanuel on Capitol Hill. Mike, thank you. With the confirmation vote planned for tomorrow, the Trump team is finally confident about Judge Kavanaugh's chances. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts joins us now with what they are saying there. Good evening, John.
Chris, good evening to you. While he didn't make it public until this afternoon, sources here at the White House tell me that West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin telephoned the White House this morning to inform them that he would be a yes on Kavanaugh. Maine Senator Susan Collins did not make a call. White House sources tell me they figured that she would call if she was a no. As Senator Susan Collins pretty much sealed the confirmation of Judge Kavanaugh, it was the press secretary who voiced the first White House reaction. Sarah Sanders tweeting, "Thank you, Senator Collins. Confirmed Judge Kavanaugh." President George W. Bush had lobbied Collins and other senators to approve Kavanaugh, who once worked in his White House. Late today, his father, George H.W. Bush, tweeted, "Senator Collins, political courage in class. I salute my wonderful friend and her principled leadership." While the supplemental FBI investigation found no corroborating evidence of wrongdoing on Kavanaugh's part, his forceful and emotional testimony last week raised questions about his temperament and impartiality. Former Supreme Court Justice John Paul Stevens said that testimony changed how he viewed Kavanaugh.
He's a fine federal judge, and he should have been confirmed when he was a nominee. But I think that his performance during the hearings caused me to change my mind.
Last night, Kavanaugh addressed those concerns in a Wall Street Journal op-ed writing, quote, "I might have been too emotional at times, and I said a few things I should not have said. Going forward, you can count on me to be the same kind of judge and person I have been for my entire 28-year legal career. Hard-working, even-keeled, open-minded, independent, and dedicated to the Constitution and the public good." While some White House aides said Kavanaugh was running a little hot on the day, the press secretary today said Kavanaugh's demeanor last week was understandable.
I think that in a moment where if you feel you're being wrongfully accused, you're defending not just yourself, but your family, your family's name, and frankly, the entire process that allows somebody to become a Supreme Court justice, you have every right to be emotional, every right to be tough, every right to fight back and defend yourself against those accusations.
After the procedural vote this morning that set the clock running on a confirmation vote, President Trump praised his colleagues, tweeting, quote, "Very proud of the U.S. Senate for voting yes to advance the nomination of Judge Brett Kavanaugh." On the campaign trail in Minnesota last night, the president warned of the political consequences, particularly for red state Democrats up for re-election, of trying to torpedo Kavanaugh's confirmation.
But all you have to do is look at the polls over the last 3 or 4 days, and it shows that their rage-fueled resistance is starting to backfire at a level that nobody has ever seen before.
Well, the White House is confident that Kavanaugh will be confirmed in tomorrow afternoon's vote. They aren't popping the champagne corks just yet. They were close a couple of weeks ago, only to watch the whole thing blow up in their face. And you can bet, Chris, that over the next 23 hours, they are going to stay in very close touch with all of those Republican and one Democratic senator.
John, thank you. Near the White House, the Supreme Court, and outside senators' offices on Capitol Hill, plenty of folks are not happy about the likely confirmation of Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. Correspondent Jillian Turner joins us now with some of the pleas from people opposed to the nomination. Good evening, Jillian.
Good evening, Chris. After a very, very long day for protesters here on Capitol Hill, pro and anti-Kavanaugh protesters began about an hour ago migrating from the Senate buildings just a couple of blocks in the other direction here to the Supreme Court. There's hundreds of them here now at this late hour, and they tell me they plan to stay here well into the evening. 14 men arrested this afternoon at the Supreme Court as a crowd cheered them on. But apart from these moments, the day unfolded peacefully here on the Hill. Protesters of all stripes swarming Capitol Hill, hoping to get face time with the remaining undecided senators during these last crucial hours before tomorrow's final vote. As Senator Collins took to the floor to deliver her highly anticipated remarks, protesters gathered quietly inside her Senate office. Though police sources tell Fox News about 10 people were arrested there when they refused orders to vacate.
We have sons, we have fathers.
Still, protesters on both sides of the Kavanaugh confirmation debate remained cool, calm, and collected. They were eager to share their convictions.
I believe he's a man of God. I believe he's appointed and chosen by God.
And engage with lawmakers.
I was a